The Homelessness program was originally launched back in 2018 as a 3-year pilot project, but since it was so successful, it was picked up as a permanent program within oneROOF Youth Services. The program aims to prevent youth from entering the cycle of homelessness by diverting them away from emergency shelter and into a home-like supportive environment. One of the biggest barriers for youth accessing our services is the stigma around homelessness. So having providers open up their space in a non-judgmental way really changes that narrative.
I saw an article in the newspaper talking about oneROOF and their post-homeless program that they were going to be doing a pilot for. And it was really interesting to me at the time. About a year earlier, my husband had passed away. My kids were both off to school in different areas of the country, and I have a good-sized home. So that's where it began.
We know that opening your home is a big ask, and it's something we don't take lightly, so that's why we spend so much time in the matching process, getting to know the providers and getting to know the youth in hopes of, the most successful stay.
So I started in 2019. So over those years now, we have 8 people that actually stayed at my house. Yeah, there's been a number of people, and they're all different.
Both of us being paramedics, we deal with the youth in the shelter in a very different way. And of course it's still helpful and we provide help for them, but it's nice to be able to provide that help in a much different way that we feel, at least, has far more impact on the youth.
So throughout the stay, both the youth and providers have access to 24/7 on-call support from program staff. Host home providers are expected to provide a private room that's furnished, access to washroom and laundry, a grab-and-go breakfast and an evening meal, and in return, the youth pays $9 a week stipend to offset costs.
I appreciated having the youth here and having the interactions and being able to be a supportive person. They say when you give, you get back. And it just, that the timing was right in each circumstance.
I was in the host home program for about a year in 2020. I was in high school at that time, and it was walking distance from the school. When I asked for the program, I told them that if it's close to the school, it would be best, and they found the perfect spot.
A big part of the Homelessness program is the idea of youth choice. Youth don't often have the options of who they get to live with. So the idea is that we have an ample amount of providers that they can select from based on the provider's routines, location, things like that. And same goes for the providers as well. We want to make sure that they feel well equipped to house a certain individual, so we always meet them where they're at. And make sure that the stay would be successful. We don't expect providers to be available all throughout the year. We understand vacations and work trips and things like that come up. We have some providers who only host a few months out of the year and others who host ongoing, but we do encourage breaks. Hosting is not a full-time job, and it is a volunteer position, so we do our best to work with the hosts.
When I was in the program, the provider was super awesome. He made me feel comfortable. He didn't feel like a stranger. We used to cook together every day. We even went to a picnic once on Canada Day. Took away the feeling of not being with family.
When I moved in, the individual that I was living with, she was very kind, but she did have different beliefs than I did, religiously and things like that. But she taught me that you can get along with people who think differently than you, and it's not always necessarily a bad thing to open up to different experiences. And through that, I was able to rekindle my own relationship with my parents and my siblings, and just through understanding that everyone's allowed their differences, and it doesn't have to separate you. And she taught me a lot about maturity.
I think still the feeling about this human-to-human contact about that when someone there's a need and someone can provide and help you. So that's not something you can say, I do this program, I put this money into this, and then this is something money cannot buy.
It showed me in a time where I really thought that no one would take me in, or I would have nowhere to go, or I'd be on the streets, that there was genuinely someone who did care and was willing to let a completely random, anonymous at first, individual into their home and support them for such a long time. Like, it goes beyond just the 3 months as well. Like, they become like someone who's, you know, always there for you, and it means a lot.
Oftentimes when we're talking to youth about the program, they're just in utter shock that there are people out there that are willing to open their home to a complete stranger and provide supports in such a personal, intimate way, as far as like being in someone's home and being involved in their community and seeing their routines and meeting their families. It's a huge thing that people are doing. So a lot of times our youth are very appreciative that there are people who are willing to support them in their lowest of points.
You don't realize how much your mind just think about the fact that you're outside all the time and that you don't have a safe space until you actually come into one, and you can just relax, not have to think about like moving your things and having everything with you all the time, and having someone to watch them when you need to go somewhere and just wait in queue and stuff like that. And just to not have all of those worries was so liberating.
Something that's really great to see is youth getting out of survival mode. Being in shelter can be really challenging, not knowing where you're going to stay, not knowing, you know, where you're going to get your next meal. So being in the host homes, getting their own space, knowing that they're wanted and supported, it's really great to see them start focusing more on their short-term and long-term goals. Something that one of our long-term hosts says that I think really encapsulates the program is you can't help everybody, but you can help somebody. And in this program, you have the opportunity to make a direct impact on the life of a youth in your community and their long-term success. The Host Homes program is a unique opportunity to impact your community and support a youth in need. If you're interested in becoming a provider or have any questions about the program, please reach out.